the country's rating down one notch from its highest level, citing the federal government's growing budget deficit. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appeared to brush off the news during an interview on Meet the Press.
I think that Moody's is a lagging indicator. I think that's what everyone thinks of credit agencies. Larry Summers and I don't agree on everything, but he said that when they downgraded the U.S. in 2011. So it's a lagging indicator. And if we go back to your initial question on the Moody's downgrades, who cares? Qatar doesn't, Saudi doesn't, UAE doesn't. They're all pushing money in. They've made 10-year investment plans. So this administration, we're doing peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals.
I mean, who cares? Every American should care, actually. We have, again, Moody's is not a lagging indicator. If Moody's is focused on the deficits, the growing debt, in a way that people in Washington just are not, then the fact is we're $37 trillion debt. I know I've been talking about this my whole adult life, but for good reason, because nobody's focused on it. And when we go off a cliff because of the debt bomb going off, I mean, it's not going to be something that we're going to recover from in 6 months or a year. And John Lemire, what Republicans agreed to over the weekend, it can't be a fiscal conservative left in the House of Representatives, because we're talking about adding about $10 trillion to the national debt, a $37 trillion debt. They're passing tax cuts for billionaires and trillionaires, not trillionaires, billionaires and millionaires. They're not seriously looking at where the biggest costs are, which would be an entitlement program reform, not from the poorest Americans, but from the wealthiest Americans. And they're not looking at significant reform at the Pentagon to try to figure out, again, how to streamline the Pentagon. We can't afford this budget. Moody's is not a lagging indicator. Moody's is a siren going off. Our deficits are too high. The national debt is too high. And this one big, beautiful bill sends that national debt skyrocketing and makes Republicans in the House who claim to be conservative, makes them look like they just don't give a damn about our children and grandchildren's future.
Yeah, very poorly timed news from Moody's for those Republicans who might have some degree of fiscal responsibility still in them. Yes, the budget came out of a key committee over the weekend. Still has to go to the full House, though. There'll be obstacles in the Senate. So the one big, beautiful bill, as President Trump has coined it, has a long way to go before it's passed in law. But a big step was taken, and it can't be overstated. This is a big deal, what we heard from Moody's over the weekend, some unhappiness from the White House and the Treasury Secretary there. Meanwhile, the president is also facing off with Walmart after the country's largest retailer warned last week it would have to raise prices because of Trump's tariffs. Trump took to social media, writing in part this: Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices. And that between the company and China, they should, as is said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. In that same Meet the Press interview, Secretary Bessent said he spoke with the CEO of Walmart and that the company will indeed eat some of those tariffs. So for more, let's bring in the co-anchor of CNBC's Squawk Box and, of course, the New York Times columnist, Andrew Ross Sorkin. Andrew, good to see you this morning. Let's talk about these tariffs, because it wasn't that long ago where President Trump was talking about how this was sort of going to be an economic panacea. This was going to bring in money, for this nation, and no one would, feel any ill effects. Here he is, flat out saying the prices are going to, prices could rise, but suggesting that it should be Walmart who eats it rather than your average American.
Look, it's a tax. It's a tax on the American people. I don't even know how many more times we need to say that part of it. I think the bigger question now is just what kind of political pressure there is going to be on businesses to eat some of those costs, and what kind of political pressure there will otherwise be if they don't. You know, it's interesting to see this White House, a Republican White House, go after businesses in this way. The Wall Street Journal, by the way, in their editorial page this morning saying he goes, this is he as in Donald Trump, he goes full Kamala Harris in demanding that the retail giant not raise prices. That's something, frankly, that we have seen from Democrats over the years, especially during the pandemic and other times, where they have effectively said that corporations were trying to gouge customers and trying to use their leverage to do that. The interesting part here is, and we saw it, by the way, with the Trump administration just 2 weeks ago as it related to Amazon, when there was some floating, frankly, of misinformation about Amazon potentially being transparent about if prices went up, what kind of the raise would be sort of described as effectively a tariff raise. And if Trump effectively comes after a Walmart, comes after an Amazon, and actually starts to tell his followers, if you will, don't shop there, shop here, shop there, that's, I think, where this could get a lot more complicated for a lot